I love movies. You know who else does? Hideo Kojima, the man who watched a bunch of movies and then decided he'd make a game series about it, called the Metal Gear series. And today I'm going to be talking about the movies that inspired him to make these games, as well as the references in general that he decided to put in. First of all, he used movies in three sort of general ways to make these games. First of all, being themes. So, what vibe people have, how serious is the game, and how's the game structured. Second is character design. So, what movie did he watch and then go, I like that character, that's going in my game. And three, when Kojima was watching a movie, when did he decide to yoink scene A and put it into cutscene B? Going straight into the themes, he mainly went off of these six. Firstly, looking at 007, good old James Bond. They've got a lot of themes of spies, sort of stealth espionage came from 007 in general, as well as being the main influence of Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, with the main theme mimicking James Bond's theme. As for the humor style of the series, it comes from the Pink Panther series, mainly being the unexpected and sudden humor in quite serious situations. On top of that, we have things like the Guns of Navarone and The Great Escape, where the Guns of Navarone is basically just this World War II movie where a bunch of Allied troops are stuck on this island, and a very special team with very specific skills has to be sent in order to get rid of the guns so that they can rescue the people. And so that sort of was a pretty big influence on the whole warrior with very special skills being sent on a impossible mission, which is what Solid Snake does, and Naked Snake, and a bunch of other snakes. So many snakes. And the main character was a pretty big influence on Solid Snake in general. And then also the rock climbing scene in the movie, where they have to climb up this giant rock wall that is basically impossible to climb up, but isn't watched because it's impossible. They climb up it. They do it. It's not impossible, but they do it, and it was a pretty big influence for some of the scenes in Metal Gear 2, being Snake climbing up the rock wall, and in Ground Zeroes for Metal Gear Solid 5, where Big Boss climbs up the rock wall. And then The Great Escape, which is also a World War II movie, and is based on a bunch of Allied troops that are stuck in a concentration camp, but it's not like the usual concentration camp. They're just trying to keep them there and not escape because they've tried to escape so many times. And so you follow them trying to escape the camp the whole time. And so it's The Great Escape. And that was a pretty big influence on Metal Gear, the first one, being you're more trying to get away from enemies and like enemy sites in general because you don't want to fight them. You're just trying to get out, trying to get over to your objective. And then one of the most influential movies in the entirety of the Metal Gear franchise is the renowned classic movie Planet of the Apes. Yes, I know. This masterpiece is what inspired Kojima to make influential game series about anti-war and all of the amazing espionage stuff. Yes it is. Then, looking at character designs, we got these. I'm gonna go in no particular order, as in what I feel like. So, first we got 2001, A Space Odyssey. Great movie. Very slow paced, but perfect for getting you to think about things. General sort of theme is, it's 2001. It's the future. We got rocket ships. We got colonized on like space stations. We got all these like boots for anti-gravity. We're doing good. It's 2001. We're there right now. I'm sure that we have progressed even further in 2025. But main character, his name is David. Crazy. It's almost like that's the name of Solid Snake. It is. It's a reference to this movie. And there's also a guy named Hal Emmerich, which is referenced to the HAL 9000. And it's referenced in the game in one of the endings that Snake says to Emmerich. He's like, one of these days, we should take a trip to Jupiter. And that's what David and Hal in the actual movie do. That's their whole mission. They go to Jupiter. Obviously, there's other people too, but I won't spoil nothing. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. Then we got things like Blade Runner, which is an incredible movie, and you really should go watch it. That one's an awesome one. That one just inspired Liquid Snake, a creation that was made by humanity to fulfill their needs, as well as being enhanced in certain ways to assist in this, but then only having a lifespan that lasts so long. But he's very spiteful and wants to find a way to extend his lifespan, obviously, because he only lives for so long because of the virus in him. Then we have the other movie that Liquid Snake's based on, which is very in contrary, because we have Blade Runner, which is a very serious movie, and then we have Twins, featuring Arnold and Danny DeVito. What a tight-knit cast we got over here. Liquid Snake's actually based on Danny DeVito. Which is a really weird thing to say, but almost the entirety of the Les Enfants Terribles is based on the movie Twins being a government project that was meant to make the perfect soldier, basically. In the movie, they talk about how one of the twins got the every perfect gene ever, and then all the leftover shit just got thrown into the other twin, which Liquid Snake believes to be true, being he got all the shit, which, I mean, I don't really know. I can't prove it. I don't think anyone can prove that he got the shit out of the stick, but he definitely didn't get the looks of Big Boss. You know, we're all loving Big Boss over here. But it's just funny how Blade Runner and Twins are the two things that one of the biggest villains in Metal Gear Solid is based on. Next, I'll talk about Solid Snake. So he's got a lot of influences on him, like I said before, in The Guns of Navarone. He's kind of based off of the main character in that one. He's also got a bunch of other influences, like Rambo. He basically just took the headband that Rambo wears and then put it on Snake and was like, call it a day. And then we have Escape from New York, which is one of the biggest influences on Solid Snake in general, and Naked Snake, technically, since they look the same. They were almost entirely based on this character in Escape from New York called Snake Plissken, which, first of all, there's the snake part, pretty one-to-one. He's got, you know, same mullet, he's got the eye patch. Even the way he talks, he's got like this gruff voice that Snake always has on too. He's like,
kept you waiting, huh?
and also the way that Snake is dropped into Metal Gear Solid 1, like in the intro, is the exact same as Escape from New York, so pretty one-to-one. Oh, and also in Metal Gear Solid 2, Solid Snake's code name is actually just Pliskin, which is also a reference to this movie. And then we got Solidus Snake, which he's actually just based on Snake Plissken as well. He's based on the Escape from Los Angeles version, which is the second movie technically, but it's a lot worse of a character in that one. He's a little bit more meaner, a little bit more gruffer, but he's mainly based on him in the way that he rejects the control of the government at the end. And hey, that's what Solidus does with the Lalilulelo. And then the rest of them are just kind of like small hints and personality stuff. So like we got The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, great movie. I would definitely recommend it. The Fly is referenced in Metal Gear Solid 3. Naked Snake, his oxygen mask at the beginning of the game when he's like in the plane, was inspired by the film, and a character, paramedic, the medic in the game, mentions it, that it kind of looks like that. Kind of looks like The Fly. Then we have The Fury. The Fury is a movie about this guy. He's trying to save his son, who has psychic powers and was kidnapped by the government for their psychic ability, like, program, you know, that the CIA was running for a while in America. And so he recruits a different psychic that he finds, this girl, in order to get his son back. It's actually a pretty good movie. It's a weird but good. Weird but good. And the movie for character design was just for Psycho Mantis, this guy. His powers were based off of the psychics in the movie, as well as the designers were specifically told to watch the movie to see how they fly in order to mimic that for the scenes. And then lastly, for what I want to talk about, we got Mad Max 2, otherwise known as Venom Snake. otherwise known as the best snake. I love Venom Snake. He's my favorite snake. He's got that sick-ass robotic arm, which is also a reference to 007. And he's mostly silent, which is reference to Mad Max 2. But he's also got that sick-ass dog, D-Dog. You know, he's got that dog companion. And they also share the similarity of not naming their dog very creatively at all, with Mad Max naming his dog Dog, and Venom naming the snake D-Dog, otherwise known as Diamond Dog, otherwise known as the company that he's part of, Diamond Dogs. Like, you gotta be a little bit more creative, man. At least name your dog Cat or something. Lastly, looking at the scenes that he sort of like took and was inspired by, we got these. First of all, I'm just gonna talk about Akira. It's an amazing movie. The main reference for Akira is literally just one scene from Metal Gear Solid 1, where after you beat Gray Fox, he yells, "The medicine!" Which is what happens also to Tetsuo, demanding his stabilizer after his powers go abrupt in Akira. We had Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb. There's also a character in the game called Dr. Strangelove, but in Metal Gear Solid 1, when Solid Snake's captured, Revolver Ocelot actually mentions riding a bomb all the way to history, which happens in the movie, where a bomber pilot basically drops a bomb, accidentally drops himself with the bomb, and then proceeds to ride it like a cowboy riding a bull down to when it detonates, which is the only way to ride a bomb if you get like dropped with a bomb. Because if I was a bomber pilot and I dropped a bomb and I got joined with the bomb, I could either, I have multiple options. I have one option, which is just give up and let myself fall. The second option, which is to cry and fall. Or the third option, which is to be a badass and go to that bomb and start riding it while it's going down. No one will know. Literally no one would ever find out I was doing it, but I'd know. I would know in my final moments that I rode that bomb like a motherfucker. Then lastly for this section, we got Eyes Without a Face, which is a 1960 French horror movie. And that one's actually a really good movie. I would definitely recommend watching it if you want a good old horror movie. It's in black and white, which I don't mind. As a connoisseur of the medias, I don't mind watching a good black and white movie. And the main references for like scenes and stuff being the hospital and Metal Gear Solid 5, being based on the mansion in the movie, and with the door and the sink in Venom's room being the main thing, and then some overall just designs in the game, as well as Quiet jumping out of the window being a scene in the movie, and the Fury's disfigured face were also inspired by the film. Obviously this isn't all the movies that Kojima had referenced, since we only know things that have been confirmed, and I didn't even talk about all of them because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really feel like it. But I'm gonna quickly mention some. First of all, wasn't all movies, there were books as well. 1984, great book about dystopian futures. A big moniker in that book is Big Brother's Watching You, which is mimicked in Metal Gear Solid 5 with Big Bosses watching you. Things like Leon the Professional, with one of the characters in the game being mimicked to a certain degree to Leon. And then we got things like The Fugitive, where a scene was ripped out, Naked Snake jumping through a waterfall. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't also include movies mentioned by Paramedic, the medic who helps you out in Metal Gear Solid 3, and who also just so happens to be a movie enthusiast. Well, I am. Right now. Here are the movies. Look at them. Look at them. They're so cool. Wow. Keep it going. Keep it going. Anyway, watching a bunch of these movies was pretty cool. I'd already watched like half of them. Being able to see a lot of these movies, a lot of the 60s and 70s movies I hadn't watched yet. But anyway, we won't focus on that too much. And my top 3 recommendations that I would recommend from this whole thing are Akira, great movie. A lot of people haven't watched it yet, surprisingly, which is weird. It's got a pretty good plot. Another one is Blade Runner. Overall, it has great dystopian future energy to it. you get to see a lot of distinctions with how things are in the movie. I would say it discerns itself very well from other dystopian future stuff like Star Wars or like Star Trek or stuff like that. Mainly with that the world's a shithole. I mean, there's no other way to put it. The world's horrible. Everyone like dying. Everyone hates each other. Everyone's like in horrible alleyway trash. There's nothing good that's going on. And also, unlike the other movies, you aren't following like the hero. You're just following some dude. I mean, obviously this dude is a person who chases down replicants, which are like, they're like androids basically, really humanoid androids, but he gets his ass kicked like every single time. So you can relate to him, because me and you, we all get our asses kicked in life. That's how it be. That's how it do. And then for the last one, I would recommend Mad Max 2. Awesome movie. It's the best Mad Max movie, in my opinion, which is the right opinion. And I'm also going to recommend John Carpenter's The Thing, which I know I said top 3, but that's my favorite movie, so I don't care. Go watch that one too. That one's the best horror movie of all time. It's got amazing practical effects. They made a remake in like 2011, 2012, I think. I'll put the date up. That one sucked because it was all CGI. Like the whole point of those movies back then was practical effects because it, guess what, looks realistic. So yeah, go watch that one too. And that's all I really got to say. So thank you. Goodbye. Did you know that if you knew that you could know, you wouldn't have to need to know that you could know? I think, therefore I am. Rene Descartes.